another Monday, and welcome to the Janelle Villiers podcast. My name is Janelle Villiers. You guessed right. And I'm excited to be with you all again on another Monday. For those of you that have been with me in the past and this is not your first time being here, if you're returning, go ahead and put a 2 in the comments. I always love to see my returning visitors. I shout you out. I always love to say hello. But if this is your first time with me, go ahead and put a 1 in the comments. So that way I know this is your first time. Welcome. On the Janelle Villiers podcast, I am all about helping authors, those that are aspiring authors, those who have finished writing their book and they're out there in the world, share their stories, talk about tips, different things that we can learn to help you along your journey of becoming an author. I have tons of different strategies, tips. You can watch all of those that I've already built up. You can watch any of those. And what I love is being able to also bring on people who have amazing stories that they need to share. Sometimes they don't have a book yet, and so they're going to put it out there and eventually, but until then, they get on my show so that way we can share their story with others just like you. And then there are others who actually have written their book. They've gotten their story out there to the masses, and so I am really excited to bring them because not only does their story need to be told even more, but also I want people to know about their book. I want people to know about how they wrote their book, their journey in the writing process as well, so that way we can continue to share and grow and learn from each other. So I'm excited. I have one person who just put a 1. Hey, Toya. Welcome to the Janelle Villiers podcast. I'm so happy to have you with me. So as many of you know, I always like to start off with a topic, and then sometimes I have a guest, sometimes I don't. Today I've got a guest for you though. So the topic is, how do we process our trauma without getting stuck in our past? This is a really, really great question. And I'm glad that I'm not the only person who's going to be talking about it today. I have an amazing guest for you guys. She is a wife, a mom, a kingdom entrepreneur, and most importantly, she has just become the next best-selling author to cross all of our stages. So everyone, please help me welcome Miss Jean Price.
Every time I speak now, whether it's in a quiet room with someone who sees me or in a room full of people like you all who never knew what I carried, I reclaim a part of myself. Not because I need anyone to fix me, but because I refuse to live unheard ever again.
Yeah.
Yes! There she is.
Thank you, Janelle, for having me on the show. I'm so elated to be here this evening.
And thank you for being here. I'm super excited and super honored to have you with me on the show. I keep promising people, the more people subscribe, the better the guests, and you are an example of that. I'm really excited to have you here. So for those who are meeting you for the first time, I would love if you could just share a little bit about your journey into sharing your story, which ultimately culminated in writing a book. I know that ultimately what you share in your book is going to answer today's topic. But I'm really curious to know about how you decided that this was the way that you wanted to help people who are struggling with their own traumas.
Well, one of the things that helped me, Janelle, was realizing that I could no longer be silent. So as people read the book and they dive into me surviving sexual abuse and physical abuse, the silence was the thing that held me captive. And so I actually am a documentarian as well. I did a documentary, right? Amazing Grace, Surviving Abuse. And I just knew this was the season that the book needed to come out. And it's a season of focus. It's a season of being that voice of the person that does not want to speak. And most importantly, I really feel like it's a calling. And I like to know or feel that when this book gets into the hands of whoever decides to read it, it's going to do something. I really want people to be healed from trauma. Trauma comes in so many facets. So that's the journey of how I decided to pen it, even though it's been in my heart for about 20 years. But I just decided it's time. Let's pen this. It's on paper.
I love that. I love that for you. It was also a calling. Like this has been something that you have been working on. And I mean, and yes, let's talk about that. You are an award-winning documentarian, which is another amazing thing that you can, that is, what makes that amazing is that you were awarded for something that you feel so passionate about. Again, to help people through the trauma of abuse and things like that. Like it's really, really important. And so to be honored for what you were able to put forth in that way is amazing. And then here you are now we're like, okay, now I want to share more about my own story and feeling called to do that and to put it in a book. And I think that's honestly the best way, right? Because
Yes.
the book can be in places where you can't be, right?
Yes. Sure.
So now that people can understand a little bit about that and that background, how would you answer today's question? How do we process our trauma without getting stuck in our past?
Well, let me first start by saying that is a great question, right? But I have to tell you that you do get stuck. So I know so we don't get stuck, but you do get stuck. And that's the process. That's the part of it that makes it so amazing when you come out, because you do get stuck in the trauma and the past of what you've gone through. I think first and foremost, most people, Janelle, will tell you when they speak to me, I'm very transparent. I'm very open, because you want to know that I'm real with what I'm saying, right? And when you see me, I'm just like, we have done a couple of Zooms or whatever. I'm exactly the same way. And I had to learn to be true to what I was really feeling. In the book, people will read about how I know what it's like to be angry. I know what it's like. And I write about not to be present. I'm a mom of 3 and a wife. I know what it's like not to be there, though I'm in the room, but I'm not in the room, because my emotions were so scarred. So one of the things in dealing with that trauma of my past was dealing with the trauma of my past. I had to peel back. I had to go layer by layer, Janelle. It's almost like that onion, and when you start taking off the skin, you start peeling it back, it's like, oh, that's in there too. Until you can get to the core of the middle of that onion, each layer had something that I had to deal with. Yeah.
And so as you're peeling back each layer, how did you not get stuck? Did you, was there a tool that you used? Was it just prayer? I'm curious to know, like, because that's what makes us scared, right? To even look into it, because we're scared that we're going to get stuck there. So, or it'll be too painful. I'm curious.
Well, it's very painful. It's very painful. So for everyone that might be listening might not believe in God or have faith. For me, it was my faith in God. It was knowing that, and I remember this so well, Jim. I remember saying to God one day, God, I will do, can you give back to me the things that I would love to do for you, right? So God put it in my heart to go and help women. Janelle, I had no roadmap. I didn't have a compass. I had no navigation that I could just hit the buttons and say, oh, this is how I do it. What I really just like took my feet and planted them in the faith, and I moved off from the Holy Spirit, right? So when different emotions come up, let's talk about unforgiveness. That was huge. And I had to learn how to forgive. I didn't forgive my stepfather for him. I forgave my stepfather for me. So that was another tool that helped me not get stuck in the past of what happened to me, from him beating me, from him locking me in basements and molesting me for all those 12 years. That one, yeah, it was a long process. Now, it was not easy. Remember, if you even look in the Bible, David was anointed king when he was young, but he didn't become king until he was older. So that process in the middle that I had to go through so I wouldn't get stuck in my past. And I had to keep pushing. Not easy, but yes, it can be done. So that's why I like to talk to people and let them understand you don't have to stay a victim. You can be victorious. I am a living witness that you can grow, you can become, and you can develop into the woman that especially that I know we're supposed to be. So trying not to get stuck was that I did get stuck. That's number one. And then, right, you know what I mean? I had to really push myself. I had to really say to myself, you can do this. A lot of self-talking. I did a lot of praying and a lot of self-talking. It was a lot of work. And if I'm really totally honest with you, we'll forever be working on ourselves. You know what I'm saying, Janelle? Like, we're going to forever be working. G's going to forever be working on herself. But so I don't get stuck, I have to apply those principles. And that's just a couple of the principles.
I love that. So you talk about this concept of a trauma closet.
Mm.
Could you share with us a little bit about what that is and how it's been helpful to use that framework for you?
Yeah. So think of a closet this way, right? In the closet, you have nice clothes. You have some clothes, mediocre, whatever it may be. You might even have some dirty sneakers in there. The closet was filled with so many things. So me being in a closet had so many different folding to it. So the good clothes in there reminded me that this is what I can wear one day. The clothes that seemed mediocre were the clothes that I had on at the moment that seemed like they were okay. But the clothes, Janelle, that were dirty and then maybe they were cut up jeans,
Mm.
were the things that I knew were in there. And I had to one day realize that I had to take them out of there. That was hard.
Mm.
It's like looking at this thing like, oh my goodness, why won't it leave? Because I had to literally be a partner with God and understand I have to help. I have to help get that in there. So my closet became a couple of things. Let me go back for 1 second. You know, when you go into your closet, it's to the place and you just pray. My closet also became my safe haven. It
Mm.
really did. It became a place where I can go and I can really talk to God and I can pour out and I can, really put my tears and everything like that. So it was that place too. But that closet filled with trauma on the other side was filled with so many dark memories. Memories of being beaten as a child. In the book, you read about the time my stepfather locked me in the basement. And, back in the day, because I'm almost 60, right, they had those keys. And he took the key and locked me inside. So there was no way for me to get out. So when I think about that, yeah, when I think about that closet, that was a closet of a lot of darkness, a lot of bad dreams. I don't even remember how I even came out of the basement, but I knew, of course, eventually he opened the door, but nobody ever came to find me.
Yeah.
No one. No one ever came and like, where is she? But one of the things that he did, it was as a master manipulator, was he always made sure there was most of the time no one was
Mm.
home. So that closet held several different things.
Meanings. Yeah. So once somebody identifies the clothes with the holes, with the rips, what are some of the things that they can do to like get rid of those clothes with
Right.
the rips, which I'm assuming is a metaphor for some of the pain, the trauma, all of that.
You have to face it. You have to actually look at it. You have to approach it. It is so hard to do when you have to deal with pain. Pain is pain, and pain is painful.
Mm-hmm.
I had to go in it with my eyes open. There were times when my eyes were closed because they were filled with tears. They were filled with things I just didn't understand. What someone else saw, I didn't see. I
Mm-hmm.
had people say, "Oh my goodness, she's so pretty. She's so this." Janelle, it took me a long time, and I'm not saying all that I'm all that. My point is, people saw what I didn't see. So I
Mm-hmm.
had to literally look at the holy clothes and understand. Okay, I had to put it on in order to know I could take it off. See, the
Mm-hmm.
metaphor. You can put it. See, I can put it on now. I can wear my holy jeans. I can do all that. But I also know when I take them off, I'm not held hostage.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you have to understand and figure out what does it represent in your life.
Hmm.
Those clothes represented trauma, a past that was filled with darkness, running away from home at 15, having a nervous breakdown at 15, being a teenage mother at 16, dropping out of high school at 17. Those clothes, they have a lot. That's what I know. So somebody that's going in there, to me, you have to face it because it doesn't go anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
She's still going to be there. The only thing about it is you either can go up in the size or go down. Metaphor. Sometimes the holy clothes that you put on are filled with a lot of stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
my clothes at time had to be bigger than bigger weight. So I had to learn how to let go of the weight of my life. I did.
Wow.
Yeah, I did. I did.
That is really interesting. So, okay, I find this very fascinating because it's similar to um, a model that I have been using for when I'm talking to people about shame-based thinking. So, really quickly, for those who are newly initiated, the difference between guilt and shame. Guilt is, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. Shame is, I'm sorry, I am a mistake, right? So, when you feel like I am a mistake, I am unlovable, I am a failure, I am unworthy, I am not beautiful, right? I'm not intelligent, whatever. All of those things can typically result in really poor decisions that we make in our life later. But one of the ways in which to get out of shame based thinking, one of the things that I've recognized is finding your good mirrors. And the metaphor that I use for that is, so you know those funny mirrors in like an amusement park, right? And so let's say you have a funny mirror in your house. So one mirror you've had in your house, it's the mirror you've had since you were a baby. It's the only mirror that you know. But every time you look at it, it shows you that you're 3 feet tall by 3 feet wide. Right. And so you walk out of the house in your mind, you're 3 feet tall by 3 feet wide. That's like how you are. That's just what it is. Right. And one day, as you get a little bit older, you go over to a friend's house and the friend has like a normal mirror. And you look in the mirror and you are not 3 by 3. And you're like, friend, something's wrong with your mirror. And they're like, no, the mirror is fine. That's like what you look like. No, I'm 3 by 3. Something is wrong with your mirror. No, this is what you look like, right? And so if that's the only mirror you've had in your entire life, the only one, it's really hard for you to see yourself in a different way. It's kind of like you were saying, you put on the clothes and like now you're trying to decide, is this really who I am? Or does this not fit me? Does this not suit me? Is this not right? Like, I love how you said that, because that takes my analogy of like the funny mirror to another level where it's like, okay, now you have to ask yourself, if you're given a regular mirror, like you have to like accept that this is the real me and that these clothes no longer serve me anymore. So I love that, actually. I really love it because that takes it to like the next level.
And accepting yourself is hard too, Janelle. It can be really, really difficult to accept who you are, right? And because to your point, let me speak for me, when I used to look in the mirror, it wasn't just shame that I saw. Everything about me when I looked in the mirror, I just didn't want to be that person. I remember looking in the mirror of people that was of different, culture of us. And oh, well, that seemed the right way to look. That seemed the right way to be. So when you have to come to the realization of who you are, sometimes you even have to look past how you look on the outside. Because the truth of the matter is what's going on the inside is really what's screaming on the outside. That I kept seeing the inside of me. That's the person that I saw. And when I saw her, Janelle, and be honest, I'm struggling. It took me a long time to accept the me that I am. I realized there was a me that God wanted me to be. And that's the woman that I am so much.
I love that. So we got an amen from Melissa. And I just want to shout out some of the other folks who said hello. Hi, Karina. Hi, Melissa. If you're watching live, please feel free to ask Ms. Jean any questions that you have. Anything at all. Honestly, you guys can ask. She will answer. I want to make sure that you have a moment as well to know that you can ask your questions. So, yes. Melissa, I agree. Thank you, Ms. Jean, for being bravely, gorgeously you. Amen to that. I agree.
Yeah.
So, okay. So I'm going to switch gears just a little bit. For my aspiring authors out there, is there anything that you learned along this journey of writing? I have several clients right now, and one who's about to publish her memoir. And I'm curious to know about the process of writing. Is there something that you wish you knew now that you didn't know then, that you wish you could have told, the Jean that had just started to write, like something that you know now?
John, that's such a great question, because even as I was writing, when I went back, and because you have to pin the pain. And when I began to pin the pain, it showed up in a different way in me. Things that, it's real, it's my life, hadn't thought about, hadn't talked about in so long. So the realization of as you're penning, I had to walk through some of that again. And I didn't realize it's been so many years since I had, gone through the sexual abuse, but I didn't realize that it became a trigger because God does such a great way of healing that it almost feels like it wasn't me. But when I began to pen, you know what I mean? I was penning. I was like, oh my goodness, I went through that. It was almost like I was writing about another person, and I felt so bad for the person. And I'm sitting on my couch and I'm crying. I'm going, oh my goodness, this was so painful. But that was the me that I was. So one of the things I loved on this journey, I got a chance to actually be outside of the person that was in the situation and to see
Mhm.
it from a different perspective. So that part was so real for me. This has just been a great experience. For me, it's been great. I got a chance to see that little girl that never opened her mouth, that never said anything. Then when did she disclose? They believed him instead of believing her. But now when I told my story, it's out there. It's no hindrance. It became no fear of the silence, no fear of threats. It was just no fear. And I love the fact I was able to tell the story and
Mhm.
literally feel free. That was big for me. That was huge.
That is huge, and I can totally relate to the idea of like almost seeing outside,
Yeah,
right, and being like, oh man, someone experiences. You can,
yeah,
it's the healing the child wounds. I think becomes easier at that point because you can like, oh man, this little girl who went through this, right? Like it wasn't her fault. Like nobody, right? Like some of the things that might have been carrying through as you were little. I
yeah,
love that. And real quick, and there's a question from Melissa, which is actually a really great question. So I am gonna put it on the screen. But
yeah.
before we do, because this is about, now I get this a lot. So a lot of my memoir writers are wondering, there are some people that they end up writing about who are still alive.
Mm,
How did you address the fact that there are some characters who are still alive who are now appearing in your telling of your story?
right. Well, the characters that are still alive in my book, they were the ones that did not hurt me. Right.
Okay.
You know what I mean? The
Okay.
character that hurt me in my book, he's now deceased. So for me, it was probably a little easier because he's
Okay.
not here. But can I tell you though, Janelle, if he was alive, I
Mm.
still would have wrote my book.
Okay.
I still would have wrote it. I still would have told my story because at the end of the day, what he meant for evil, God turned it around for good for me, for those
Right.
voices. Well, and it happens to men too. It's not just women that get sexually abused.
That's right.
It's
That's
also men that it affects. And throughout the book, it's not just I deal with my story, I deal with the physical, I deal with the sexual, but I really, Janelle, deal with a lot with trauma. Trauma comes in so many faces. It could be divorce, it could be the loss of a loved one. So I
right.
really dive into how the emotional scars of trauma, because trauma
Mhm.
comes in so many different packages.
I love that answer. Because ultimately it's what that did for you and through you.
Yes.
Um, that hit home. Okay, so let me get to Melissa's question. Once you had your deliverance, what did the call look like to help others? Ooh, great question, Melissa.
Oh, that is such a great question. And in full transparency, once I had my deliverance, there were times I didn't have the deliverance.
Hmm.
There were times I was still in the process of deliverance.
Hmm.
There were times that I still had to work on me while I was helping other people. But that's the joy that I love about God and how He loves me, is that He literally was so patient with me that while I was being healed, God used me to help someone else get their healing.
Hmm.
You know what's so beautiful, Melissa and Janelle? It helped me. It also helped me. So here I am helping someone else, and I'm just still at the time going through my own. He was helping me. So for me, that call and helping and that deliverance, it was like a combination for me. So it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. It was a call, it was helping, but it was also healing.
I love that because sometimes people feel like it'll stop them from doing whatever they've been called to do because they feel like, oh no, I need to be healed and then I can do the thing. But the truth is, the thing that you've been called to do could be a part of your healing.
And yeah, and that's exactly what it was. You know, one of the organizations I started is called Healing Women Win. ING on the end of the word means it's a continual process. You have
Mhm.
to ever be healed. There's a healing that's going on. Triggers can come up out of nowhere.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? You talked about shame. I understood shame because I felt the shame because, I blamed myself because I
Mhm.
totally fell apart. But that healing was a continual process. So you're absolutely correct when you say that, for sure.
Ah. So, thank you, Melissa, for your question. One of the other things that I was thinking was, okay, so back on the book stuff. So now that you've written your book, um, what is it like to go to different audiences, talk to people now about your book, and share with them excerpts like we saw in the introduction? What has that been like for you?
Oh, it's been absolutely incredible. One of the chapters in the book, right, chapter 11, because I opened up or I talked about it, says, the girl who survived is the woman who speaks.
That's my timer. All right, finish your thought. Finish your thought. We're good.
Chapter 11 is the girl who, let me just find it. I just closed with that. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Chapter 11 opens up. The title is The Girl Who Survived is the Woman That Speaks. And the reason I talk about that, and I was in New York, I did a book tour. I just came back from Charlotte this morning. It resonated. I know, it's so excited. It resonated with people so much because you kind of dealt with it a little bit. The little girls in us, we still like that suffering that we've gone through.
Mm-hmm.
I can now say the little girl that was then is now speaking as a woman. And speaking as a woman is not necessarily of my age, like I'll be 60, but it's the maturity in the healing that. So the different audiences were great. Just coming from Charlotte, I found that the women were like, they really needed me. They were pulling on me like, okay, I need you to help me with this. I need you to help me with that. So it was so beautiful that people were there and they really want to know what it's like to be healed. I had representatives from teenage pregnancy homes. I have representatives from addictive behavior. People that are there, they want to know, well, what? Sometimes addictive behavior is a result, sometimes, of sexual abuse. Sometimes alcoholism and all those things are a result of maybe some kind of trauma that they went through in their life. Both audiences were a little different, but definitely impactful.
Wow. Yeah. I love that. I love that. And I love that you're being but your story is being able to touch so many other people. I was saying this earlier before we even got on, without you even being there, right? Your book is going to be able to share your story and help so many people. And that to me is the ultimate goal, the ultimate win. And amazing. I can't wait to see you on more stages and more conferences, more TV shows, more podcasts, because yes, yours is one that needs to be told because it's going to inspire so many others. So that way they know that they're not alone, and that healing is possible. So thank you so much for coming on and sharing with us, and would love to have you come back on. Maybe we can get like a part 2. What happened since when, right? Anytime. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you everyone for showing up. Please give Miss Jean some love. Please, all the hearts. If you have found this valuable, please put a V in the comments. Let us know that you found this valuable. And if you want to reach out to Jean, she is available. Okay. So I'm going to give you all of the things. Now look, all of this is in the description. If you're on Facebook, it's above. If you're on YouTube, it's below. But here's her Instagram. You can find her there. I am Jean Price. She's on Facebook as Jean Price, and her website. Please check out her website. Go get her book. I put the link so that way you can buy her book in the description as well. Again, Facebook, that's above. YouTube, that's below. Make sure you get the book. Again, Jean, thank you so much for being on. And to everyone else, have a wonderful rest of your evening, and I will see you all next week. Take care, everyone.